Welcome back to Bale & Wire's Old Iron. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed my last video, the footage of the duct tape drags. So I've got a video coming up, this one here. It wasn't what I expected. What I was wanting to do is I was wanting to clean this shop up a little bit, and I was going to have a video of me pulling the engine out of that M Farmall so I can get it put outside for now and get the engine to the engine shop. And after that, I was wanting to get going on the rat rod, which you see right there. Well, so cleaning up the shop, I had to do something with these two V12s. So these are, this one here, and same with the one back there. That's basically just a block. I'll show you that after a while. But this is a 702 V12. So I better just make this just the intro, but that's what it's going to be. I got this engine on this little cart because I wanted to move it out of the way. And this thing is so big, I'm afraid to move it around the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and tear it down. And that's what it's going to be. I promised a few folks that I would have a video of this, tearing this thing down. And I'm going to go ahead and do it. I think I'm going to go ahead and tear it down. I don't know if I'll get it all done today. But I'm going to bring you guys along and let you guys see what this is all about. And hope we both learned something, because this is the first time I've ever torn down anything like this. But like I said, this is a 702 V12, but we'll get more into that. This is supposed to be the introduction. So speaking of that, the last I looked, I am almost to 1,000 subscribers. And I think probably in the next video, I'm hoping that we'll be giving away a creeper, or I'll at least be gathering names. So last I looked, I was like at 992, I think it was. I'm almost there. So once we get to 1,000, we're going to give away the creeper. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tearing down this engine, and I'm going to get you guys off of the stand. The first thing I'm going to do is do a walk around on this engine, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay. All right, so if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. And I would like to thank everybody that, all my new subscribers and all my old subscribers. Like I said, I'm almost to 1,000. We'll talk more about it at the end of this video. But if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to be tearing apart this GMC 702 V12. Okay, so here we go. So I told you guys in the intro what I was wanting to do was get some of this place cleaned up. I've got messes everywhere. I've been cleaning up a little bit. I cleaned up this workbench for the second time, and I was actually trying to get some shop projects out of the way to get some stuff cleaned up, because I was wanting to get that bench top right there cleaned off. I've got a rack that I was in the middle of building. But so here's what happened. I was cleaning some stuff up, and I was wanting to, for one thing, I was wanting to get on this rat rod. But this M Farmall back here that, late last spring, I decided that the engine was going to have to be rebuilt. I was wanting to do a video basically of pulling that, and pretty short video. But I'm trying to get stuff, taken care of. But so under my lift right here, here's that one block for that V12, and this one's been partially tore down. And so I had a kind of a cart that I thought, well, I'm going to take a cart and I'm going to mount this engine to it so I can just roll it around. Well, here's the one that is together, but this is actually a bad block. And so I got this engine on this cart, and I seen that this thing was just so darn heavy and big. I thought, well, I better tear it partially down. Well, I just remembered I was going to do that on video. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and tear this thing down. Now, this is the engine that the block is no good. I think that I'm going to really try really hard. I'm going to turn this block into a cutaway that and maybe put it on a little trailer that I can take to shows. Now I will show you here why this block's no good. See that big hole right there? There's the cylinders right there. And look right here. See that? That's actually the head. And I'm amazed that happened. And over here, see that crack in the head there? So I'm sure that this block was left outside with water in the, throughout the coolant system. And if you look right here, a freeze plug popped out of it. And then right there, there's another crack in the head. And over here, there's another crack in the head. So with this thing being so big, I'm kind of needing to get it out of the way for right now. I'm going to go ahead and start tearing this down. And I did want to document this. This is going to be a first for me. I have never tore down one of these V12s or an engine quite like this. I'm not going to tell you guys a lot about the engine right now, because in this video, I'm going to dig up some history and we're going to talk about this engine in depth, because there was lots of many uses for this engine throughout the years, and I'm going to tell you how long it was made and so on. But with this walk around right now, so let's go a little bit over the engine right now that I want to talk about right now. Okay, so this is a 702 V12. And I'm going to talk more about this later, but they did call this a twin six, okay? But it is one solid casting. It is one solid block. It has one crank. It has one cam, but it does have four heads. See, two there and two on the other side, okay? And then over here, here is the distributor. So it has one distributor. It has two sets of points, two coils, and then on the back here, this is where the distributor caps went. So up here, the distributor cap didn't go here. Actually, this was just a flat plate that covered this right here. And your distributor caps for your plug wires were actually here and here. So it had two distributor caps. So you'd have 6 wires over here, you'd have 6 plug wires over here. It does have 4 manifolds. It is a V12, and it's got 2 separate intakes. See, there's the back intake, and there's the front intake. Okay, and there's the cooling system. It does have 2 thermostats. Okay, there's a fuel pump, fan, pulley, water pumps behind that. See this pulley here? Now, when we get that far, we are going to have to support that and pull that whole front cover off when we get that far. But I think we're a ways from that. And looking at this, so I don't know if there is a spot for the cam in the back. But if you look back here, I don't know if you can pull the cam from that or not, but that is a drive gear for a cable-driven tach. Okay, now give me just a second and we'll go over to that other engine, because I think that other engine has a cable-driven tach on it. Okay, right there. If you see, that is actually a drive system for a cable-driven tach. Now this engine here, this is the good block, but it's got some issues with the internals. As you can see, I think that this engine here probably ran a water pump and ran on propane. And if you look right here, see that burn hole in the top of the piston? But this is the one that's supposed to be a good block, but it's got bad internals. So we will be tearing this one down later. I don't know if I will do this one on camera, but I am going to tear that other engine completely down on camera. If you look right there, that is the oil filter. So it's a big one. But so that's what I'm up to. I'm going to get you guys on a stand, see if I can get you to where you can see. I may put you on time lapse in the beginning, because I'm going to take some stuff off that really doesn't matter. You know, like the valve covers and intake and stuff like that. But once I get some of that stuff off, we'll go over it and talk about it. Okay? But like I said, right there, you can see it looking down in there. That is one cam. And we're going to pull it out of that other one. Okay, let's get you on the stand. We'll go over to that other engine. We'll start tearing it apart. Okay, I wanted to take just a quick second here. I was getting ready to take the fuel pump off, which is right there. And it drives off of that front cover, off an eccentric on the cam, I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure. I haven't got in there, but we're going to find out here in a little bit. I don't know if I'll get that far here tonight to get that front cover off, but when I get that fuel pump off of there, we'll look and see back in there and see how that's driven. But I only took just a little bit of stuff off and got the power steering pump out of the way. I just wanted to give you guys just a quick look here. I wanted to talk to you about the fuel pump. But that fuel pump setup is pretty much just like what it is on the V6s. I actually just had to replace a fuel line on Jimmy Hoffa a couple weeks ago. Well, actually, no, it's been a while. That's been probably a month or two ago when I went to Greaserama. Well, it's been a little over a month ago, but when I went to Greaserama, so it's pretty much the same setup, and the cover looks very, very similar. I'm not sure what would have been over here on this bracket. When I took the power steering pump off of here, there was an arm coming off of it for an alternator. So I'm not real sure what that would have drove down there. I'm not real sure, but I'm going to find out. Now, I will tell you, when these things had air compressors on them for big trucks, the compressor was pretty much right on top, set right on top of the engine. And later on, I'm going to show you guys some illustrations of some of that when I dig into the history and we talk about this engine. That pulley right there, I think, should pretty much come off of there, but I think it's rusted on there pretty good. I'm going to have to spray it up, and maybe I'll put a puller on it and I want to be very, very gentle with it, because I'll tell you what, you never know what you're going to need, because I don't know how much of this stuff that you can even get. And this endeavor is going to be something else. But so I'm going to put you guys back on time lapse, and I'm going to take more of this apart. So I've got the intake distributor, valve covers. I did take the power steering pump, fans, such off. So I'm going to take you over to the table before I go any further, and I'm going to show you what some of these parts look like. And then next, I'm going to start taking the heads off of this thing. Okay, so right here, that is the distributor. And I showed you earlier that it had two drives on it for the for your caps to put spark to your spark plug wires, and two sets of points. It's a little short, dude, but it's got a long oil drive on it. Look at that thing. After getting this out, this distributor, I don't think it's going to do me any good. If you look right here, it's cracked. I do have another distributor, so that'll help. Okay, these were some caps that were on the heads. I think that was to keep from having a crossover in between the two intakes. And there's a valve cover, which valve cover is not much. They look just like what's on the V6s. Okay, here is a thermostat housing. And I thought that was a double, but it's actually a triple. Look right here. Put triple thermostats in this thing. And look here, here's the sensors. Here's, look at see all the sensors. They got two sets of sensors. So yeah, triple thermostats. Okay, here's one of the intakes. And they're just like what's on the V6s. And then come over here, and that's upside down. But that's exhaust manifold. And man, I tell you what, those are, what, probably, well, they're 60 plus years old. And they are heavy, heavy, heavy duty. Look how long they've lasted. And I think they're exact same as what's on the V6s. But I will tell you something else. If you look right there, almost every single one of these parts has got that GMC logo on them. They were kind of proud back in the day, like Ford used to. Ford used to stamp Ford on everything. Everything I found has GMC on it. So there's another valve cover, and there's a power steering pump, and there's a fan. So that's what I've got taken off so far. I'm going to take you over here once again to show you down inside the valley. There is a cover right there, but I think I'll wait to take that off after I get the heads off. Right there is where the housing goes for the oil filter. So the oil filter housing goes right there. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take the heads off of this. I'm going to take the rocker shafts off, get the push rods out, and then take the heads off. But this setup is pretty much just like what the V6s are. Pretty much the same. Just an old school rocker setup. Okay, so here in just a bit, we'll get these heads off. Okay, now, got one more right here. Two more. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see, got here, there. Got all on the inside, all there. All right, we should be good to go. Let's see what happens here. Oop, that one's gonna come off pretty easy, I think. Oh, these are heavy. Okay, there we go. Woo-wee! Look in there. All right, I'm gonna have to stop you guys for a minute so you guys can see this. Get you off the stand. Hang on here. All right. Ooh, man. Look, these have been sitting for a while. Look at all the rust in there. Man, I'm glad this is the block that's no good, because this is no good. Now, it's supposed to have good internals. I think pistons you could probably still get for these. I think you can, I think you can still get quite a few parts from Thunder V12 if they're still in business. But look at that. I'm going to vacuum that out real quick before I make any more of a mess. As you can see right there, there's the lifters, and look down in there. There's the cam, but I'll get you a better look of it later. But there's the lifters. But there's the first head off of this block. And man, oh man, look at that. Wow. This thing's been sitting around for a while. But you know what? Even looking at that, I think that piston may be all right. Okay, all right, let's get the rest of these heads off. Okay, so I wanted to show you the inside of these cylinders. This side looked kind of like that, but it cleaned up pretty decent. And these ones that are actually full of all this goo are actually looking pretty decent. And that one there, I think I'll be able to get that out. And that one, I think that these pistons may be fine. But I'm going to vacuum this out, get that all cleaned up, and then I'm going to take you guys over to the bench and we'll kind of go over the heads a little bit. Okay, let me get this vacuumed out. Okay, let's take a minute and let's look over the heads on these. Now the heads, you got to remember, they get 702 basically from a 351. So basically, if you could imagine, that's two 351s, which, you know, that's why they called it the twin six, but it's one continuous block. So that's basically, these heads are the same as what's on the V6s. So there's your combustion chamber. Here's your valve train. Look at the size of them valves. Okay, and then there's your rocker assemblies. Okay, so oh, hang on, I turned this one the wrong way. Okay, as you can see, there's your spark plug hole right there. And that's the top side of the head. So that is the one major thing different about these Super Vs. You know, the V6, the V8, and the V12. And yes, they did make a V8 version of it. I have one. I have one in my 1969 fire truck I call Smokey. But that's it. All right, so I'm going to work on getting the balance wheel off and see if I've got a puller that will pull it. But that's what I'm up to next. So let me get you guys back on the stand. Okay, so I got pretty much just a standard balance wheel puller on there. And I'm getting ready to try to see if that's going to work. Now, those bolts just go through there. I couldn't get it lined up to where I could use 3 of them, but I've got 2 of them there. I don't know what pattern it is, just didn't seem to work right. But let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. All right. Let me get some oil. Hold on. All right, I've got a can of WD here. I want to put some on these threads. And if I need to, I can get the mini ductor out. Let's see. Hopefully this is going to work. All right, you guys ready? Whew. Boy, that's a long-winded sucker. I hope that I don't have to go much more because this shaft on this balance wheel puller here up towards this end's not real good. I used it to take the balance wheel off of a John Deere engine on a combine a couple years ago, and man, I had to really torque it good to get it off. So let's see if we're almost there. My gosh, I ain't got much more thread left. It's almost off of there. Okay, hang on just a second here. All right, give me just a second. All right, I tightened them bolts up just a little bit. And by golly, I think that thing's just gonna come right off. Let me get you back on the stand and I'll just see if I can pull it off of there. But it's going. All right, I think I got it. I think I can just pull it right off. See what happens here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, let's get this piece on the bench. Okay, so here's the balancer pulling. It is a balancer. As you can see, it is a balancer. Look here on the back. See all that? That's for the timing. There is a pointer on the front cover. Let me show you. As you see right there, there's a timing pointer. All right, well, now I need to find some way to hold up, which I think I may just get my cherry picker, but I got to find some way to hold up the front of this engine so I can take that front cover off. Let's see what we're going to get into. I'm hoping before I quit for the night, I get as far as getting the cam pulled out of this thing. So let's see where we get. But right now I got to figure out how I'm going to support that, because as you can see, that front cover is actually the front mount too. It's how I've got it sitting on this cart. So I think I'm just going to get my cherry picker and I'm going to straddle it to back and put the arm out and just support the front of it and get this front cover off. Okay, stay tuned. All right, so there's my cherry picker. I'm getting ready to hook it up. But after looking at it, I want to take these covers off right here, which I would kind of call a valley, but I want to go ahead and take them off because I'm going to have to be holding this up with the cherry picker for a little bit until I get that front cover off and get figured out how I'm going to hold the front of that engine again. But I'm going to go ahead and take these covers off and then get my cherry picker hooked up, and then I'll get you guys on a stand and I'll take the front cover off. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and take that pulley off of there. I used, this water pump's got a, it's tapered, so that's how it was held on there, which a tapered fit is a really tight fit. So I did get it off with the just regular gear puller, and it came off all right. And then once I got it off, I seen that the hub itself, the bolt holes were threaded where the fan was on, and I thought maybe it'd be a stub, kind of like you know, your regular small block Chevy or anything like that, but it wasn't. It's got this tapered shaft on it, which so let's get this water pump off, and I've got my cherry picker here. I'll get ready to lift this up and we'll take this front cover off. But I'll probably, what I'll do is I think I'll go ahead and take this water pump off, and then I'll put you guys on time lapse, or I'll stop you for a minute. I think you guys don't need to see me jacking this up, so I'll just jack it up a little bit and I'll probably put you on time lapse, or we may talk about it for a minute. But let's get this water pump off. Every single one of these is going to hang up on me, so I'm going to put you guys on time lapse for a minute. All right, I got the bolts out. Let's see how much it fights us. All right, well, there it is. Man, no, none of this looks really not that bad. And I'm kind of surprised. I just changed the water pump in Jimmy Hoffa before I went to Greaserama. And I'm going to tell you, this one's not much bigger. Because I had heard that they have got some issues of these things overheating. And looking at this pump, and I know Hoffa's got a heck of a pump on it, but you would think that this one would have a little bigger pump. I mean, this is twice the engine. And it is a little bigger, but not a lot. I'm kind of surprised. All right, so let me get this jacked up, and I'll bring it back in a little bit to take the front cover off. All right, so I've got that sitting off of there. I think, yep, right there. I think all I got left is these bottom two. Okay, I got one there. I got it out. Oh, there's another one right there. Okay, that one's a stud. Already got it out. Got everything out up there. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Get a screwdriver, take some of that grease out of there. Okay. All right. So, I think that's it. See what happens. You guys still on? Let me look. Yep, you're on. Okay. There we go. Here it comes. Looks like I got two underneath there. I think I should have thought about that. That's attached to the whole pan. All right, so I got that. I had to get a universal and a 1/4 inch socket to get that third bolt. So let's see what happens now. Oh yeah, look at there. Oh baby, yeah. Okay. Let me put this down. I'm gonna take both hands. Okay. All right, first off, let's take a good look at this front cover. So as you see right here, see these bolts? They go up through there, and this is actually the front mount for that engine. And, there's your crank hole. There's a water return. That's where your fuel pump goes. I'm not real sure what that big bracket is. I may have to get with Cousin Waylon and see if he's got that on his and see what mounts there. But there's some of the water jacket right in there. Right there's where the fuel pump mounted. And of course right there's where the water pump is at. So now, let's take a look at the front gearing on this thing. Oh, look at this. Nice heavy stuff, look at that. And there was your fuel pump and stick drink. Yep, That's what drove the fuel pump. Is this right here. This would be your timing gear. This would be an idler gear between them. And there's your crank. There it is. All right, now, let me see if I can get ready to pull that cam. Looks like it's got a cam plate on it. I can see it right here. Yep. Hopefully I can get, hopefully it's just 2 bolts. Hopefully I can get to that. I want to try to leave that gear on there. That'll give me something to pull on. Because that thing's going to be a mile long. I mean, that thing's about 4 foot long. And I may even need to make a spot on the table for it. But let me get ready, and I'll try to get this cam pulled tonight. It's starting to get a little late. So let me see if I can get this cam pulled. All right, so I think I got it figured out. I went ahead and took that eccentric off of there for the fuel pump. And there's the cam, and I think I got the lifters. I think I got them all up. Some of them are falling back down. But I think I'm ready to start pulling it. Let me get you guys back on the stand. All right, let me see if there's any of these lifters that are falling back down. Yeah, there's 2 of them. Here's one. Another one. I'm gonna come over here and see if I can pull them out. I pulled one out earlier. They're coming out pretty good. I may just go ahead and take these all out. Okay, I don't want that. I'm not going to use the hammer on it. Boy, there are some big heavy lifters. Look at them things. Don't you wish they made them like that now? Look at that. That thing's 60 plus years old. And look at that. I mean, it's just in excellent shape. That's more proof right there. They just don't make anything like they used to. Not even clothes. Oh, that one's not going to count. I think it would cut wood, but I can't get my finger up in there to get it. Yeah, that was tight. Okay, here it comes. All right, I think I'm going to have to help it along. Here it comes. We're just about there. Oh, there it is. One camshaft out of a 702 V12. Ah, look at that thing. Wow. That's something else. All right, let me get it over on the bench. All right. All right, there it is. That's one camshaft out of a 702 V12. That's pretty cool, pretty massive. I'm gonna put a tape on it. I'm gonna see how long that thing is. Give me a minute and I'll put you on a little tripod here on a table. Okay, there you guys are. I'm having a heck of a time getting that all in frame. So let's see how long this thing is. Okay, that's right to the cam plate. So it is 42 3/4 of an inch. We probably better call it 5/8 to be exact, but that's what it is, 42 5/8 to here. Now out to the nub there, it's probably about 43 1/4, in which that is the tack gear right on the end of it. But looking at it, I mean, it don't look terrible. So far, it's looking like that these guts are probably going to be okay. You know, the heads, and don't get me wrong, I think the heads could be salvageable. I could weld them cracks and have them tested. And you know, them heads I could probably still make do, but I got a whole nother set of heads, and I've got a pair of heads for a V6, and I'm not for sure what V6 they were out of, so I'm going to look into that. But I think that's going to do it for tonight, because the next thing I got to do is get that off of that little cart. Here, let me take you over there. I need to get this block off this little cart. Now, let me tell you something. So I was wanting, before I started all this, I was wanting to build a real heavy-duty engine stand to be able to rotate all this stuff. And I think I'll probably do that with that other block that's over there. I may just put it on this and tear it down basically the same and leave the block on that cart for now, and then work on building the big engine stand later when I'm ready to start to assemble this or whatever we're going to do with it. But this one here, I think, other than the parts that I need to make a running engine, I think the block and probably some other parts that I'll have off that other engine that aren't so good, I want to try and make a cutaway. And yeah, I think I want to try to make it myself. And I think it'd be really, really cool right here where these heads join, even where this is cut out. If I could get this thing fixtured up on my milling machine, I might mill out. I mean, that'd be a heck of a, that'd take a long time, but heck, I don't care. We'll cut this out right here and cut the heads out right there and have a little cutaway so you can see this right here. Maybe we'll cut some of the front gear out, put a little drive motor on the back. But I think that I'm going to call it a night. And I think that I got to work tomorrow. So I think if I can get out here after work tomorrow, I may unbolt this block and just turn it over here, right here on the floor, and take the pan off of it and see if I can get the crank out of it. But that's where we are. I think that I'll probably see you guys tomorrow afternoon after work. And don't forget, in this video, I'm going to have some data information, and we're going to do a little tidbit to where some history on these. And so this is going to be informational about these engines too, not just tearing it down. But that's where we're at. As you can see right in there, that's where the cam was at. Now those lifters are moving okay. Some of them are a little stiff, but they're coming out. Some of them I just pulled out my hand, but they're all coming out. So that part's good. So far I'm not terribly concerned. I mean, that one, if I was having to use the cylinder bore, it'd be screwed. But the piston itself does not look too bad. I mean, I think they'll clean up. So I got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping we're going to be able to build an engine. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow evening. Okay, so here's a couple of pictures of what we've been going through in this video. So this is a GMC 702V12. And like you've seen in the video, that is one block, one crank, one cam, and it is a 12-cylinder. It does have two intakes, two carburetors, and four heads and four exhaust manifolds. So this engine was produced by GMC and mostly used in heavy truck usage. I'm going to put some examples up here of what this truck was used for. It was also used in later years for irrigation pumps, and they would leave these things basically just idle. So this 702 V12, a relatively slow operating speed of only 2,400 RPM. 2,400 RPM at 275 horsepower. So that was its peak. and they're very low revving engines. They are what they called a twin six design, and they are a 60-degree V. So the spark plugs are inboard. They're actually on the top side of the heads of these engines. Very, very unique engines. There's not a lot of them left. Very, very reliable engines. They lasted for a very, very long time. So I'm going to show you guys some examples of these, and I'm going to show you a couple rigs that they're in. And so yeah, this is what we're talking about. Then I'm going to show you some more specs as far as with the engine itself. It says that the engine's capable of pumping 17 gallons of oil per minute, and it is also capable of pumping 118 gallons of water a minute. That's nuts. So that's what we've got, and I'm going to show you some more stuff here. I'm going to show you some specs, and we'll talk more about that. Okay, here in this picture, um, before we go through some specs, this is actually Wayland's V12 that is in his rat rod, the Dirty Dozen. And as you can see, he's got plaid valve covers on his. And actually, these V12s never came with those. They did come with either the red valve covers or chrome. So the plaid valve covers actually were on the 63 305 V6s, and it was actually kind of a recall. So those never actually really came on the 702 V12s, but they look really good on the 702 V12, don't you think? Okay, as I mentioned before, these were very long lasting engines. As you can look in this advertisement here, this is an old advertisement from many years ago, and 200,000 miles, back in the early 60s, that was something else. And these engines were made from 1960 to 1965, and 200,000 miles on an engine was great. But there's some of these known to have a heck of a lot more. There's some known to have several 100,000 hours and even over 1 million miles. So these were very good lasting engines. Okay, here in this picture, it's just a breakdown of these engines, showing the components of them. There's nothing really much here that we haven't already talked about. This is just a breakdown from General Motors. Okay, I got this off of Thunder V12, and this is some just generic specs on the engine. Cam lobe spun in oil. It has 56 head bolts. The crankshaft weighs 180 pounds. And then you can kind of go down through here and you can see there's a lot more information there. And the wrist pin. So that's the pin that connects the rod to the piston. It is an inch and a quarter. Well, not quite. Inch 0.24. So it's not quite an inch and a quarter. But as you can see, they were very, very heavy engines. Okay, now this clip I got from the 60 to 66 GMC guy. And as you can see, this is the firing order. And you can see it's got, like I said, one distributor. It's got two distributor caps. One runs one side, one bank, and then the other runs the other bank. And they turn in opposite directions. And also the firing order. So when these are firing, they're basically firing at the same time on opposite sides because it was such a mass that you would have to have a fire on each side to get that all that mass kicked over. Very, very, very unique engine. Okay, so here's the specs. And it's right down there in the middle. You can see the Twin 6702 V12. It's 275 horsepower at 2,500 RPM. Net horsepower of 250 at 2,400 RPM. Gross torque, and here's where it gets you: 630 foot pounds at 1,600 to 1,900 RPM. Net torque pounds, 585 at 1,600 to 1,900. The bore is a 4.56, which means that bore that I measured is probably pretty close. And then the stroke is 3.58. a displacement of 702.4 cubic inches, in which that equates to 11.5 liters. The compression ratio is 7.50 to 1. The notes, I don't know what the notes are in that. If I find that, I'll get back with you. So what I found on that Note 9 is just the models that V12 came in as a GMC truck would be a B, BW, an L, and an LW, and 7000 series. So I'm going to show you a picture next, 2 examples of what those V12s were put in. Okay, so what we've got here is a 1964 GMC fire truck it's got a 702 V12 in it. So these were used a lot for big trucks, fire trucks especially. They really pumped a lot of water at low RPM. And then the next example here is the Minuteman missile. Now the Minuteman missile, for you, some of you younger people and all the older people, I'm sure you all know what this is about. So this was actually the missiles that were set around through the country to defend us during the Cold War. And the GMC truck that was used to transport and erect the Minuteman missile all over the country was powered by a 702 V12. And I've got one pictured right here. And then in the very last picture, that is a hot rod that was built a few years ago called the Blastoline B702. Very, very nice rig. If you guys can, look that one up. It'll be under Blastoline B702.
Couple squirts, ignition, contact. Got one broken exhaust, but I got a bunch of them. Man, that just makes my heart do flip-flops.
All right, so we're back. And I got this engine on the floor. I got it turned around. I got it sitting right on the floor. And as you can see, right there's the oil pan. Look how long the oil pan is. So I'm going to go ahead and get the oil pan off. And then let's get a good look at everything. So I'll put you guys on a stand. I'll probably time-lapse taking this oil pan off. You guys don't want to see all that. There ain't nothing to that. It's just some bolts. But we'll get the oil pan off, and then we'll see what we got, and then we'll talk some more. All right, so we got the oil pan off. So there it is. Yeah, a great big oil pump. I think that's probably the first thing I'm going to take off. And then I think I'll take the caps off of the rods. Everything's seized up, so there's not going to be no turn on anything. I'm basically going to have to just try to get down in there and take off everything right where it's at. Because all the pistons are going to have to come down through the bottom. Remember, we got this upside down, so. And then this, a bunch of this gunk, I cleaned a bunch out of there. bunch of sludge and gunk in the bottom of the oil pan. There's the oil pan. And that's in the one I handed you a time lapse right at the end. I had it up next to me so you could kind of get an idea how tall that thing is. Yeah, it's just a little taller than that bench. But I'm going to go ahead and I think I want to get the oil pump off of there. It looks like that one line and those two bolts right there. Huh. Interesting. I'm not really sure. We may have to revisit the distributor after I get the oil pump off. Because I'm not real sure if that long rod was what drove the oil pump. I don't think it is. But there it is. Here's a good look of it. So, like I said, I think I'm going to take the oil pump off first. And then I'm going to take the connecting rods. And as far as the connecting rods go, I'm going to lay them over on that corner of the bench and lay them out like they're in the engine. So I don't have to stamp them right now. I'll probably mark them with a paint pen. But I'll lay them down there and as they're in the engine. I don't think that's really going to matter if we get all this rebuilt, because the pistons will match up to the hole, however the holes are machined, however the cylinder holes are machined. Now the crank caps, yeah, we need to make sure them are all where they belong. But that's what I'm going to do now. So I hate to do it, but let me get you back on a stand again, and let's get this oil pump off there. Okay, so I got the oil pump off. And if you see, right here is where it sucks oil. Well, not really, but where it flows in the engine. The sump's right here where it sucks oil. That's where it sucks oil, but this is where it can flow in the engine and where it mounts. So the drive is right there, and which is off to the side. And I was correct earlier. You know, just like most engines do, the distributor drives the oil pump. As you can see, that's how it works, just like that. There's the distributor, and that's what drives the oil pump. So, there's one oil pump out of a 702 V12. All right, let me get some caps going. All right, so I've got all the caps off of it, all of the main caps. That was a big one there, and all the rod caps. Look at this one in the middle. It's only got a bearing right there in the center of that. And the cap was all across there. There wasn't two caps. So there's the crank. And overall, so far, I don't think, this doesn't look terrible. But I'll take you over to the bench and I'll show you the caps. That cap on the back was a big one. Okay, so here we are on the bench. There's all the rod caps. I've got them all in line, and I've looked at every one of these. I know it's got some oil in it, but give me just a second. Hang on. Okay, so I got two of them here turned over and cleaned up. And man, they don't look bad at all. Look at that. They do not look too bad. Now you can tell where these have been setting, these main caps. But they're not scored or anything like that. But you can see where they've been sitting. And there's that center one that I was telling you guys about. See how wide it is, and see it's basically a double cap. Okay, let me turn it around. There, see how it's got a bearing? Right there just in the middle. Just like it showed on the crank. Pretty cool. But there they are. There's the rod caps and the crank caps for 702, a GMC 702 V12. I keep forgetting to mention, this is a GMC engine. So this V12 was made by GMC, which we, like I said, by this part of the video, I'm sure I'm going to put that in the middle. This is almost the end. So we've already talked about, you know, the GMC and this 702 V12 and what it came in and what it was used for. But let me get ready to pull the crank. All right, so far, I haven't tried to push any of the pistons down. I don't think I'm going to be able to anyway. But, so I got it hooked to each end of the crank. Hopefully it lifts it up out of there. Now, I think if I remember right, and what you said, this is towards the end of the video, and in the middle of the video, which you guys have already seen, you know what this crank weighs. I think it's about 170 pounds, I think. Come on. There it comes. Look at that. That's crank. Let me get you over here. We'll get a little better look. You know what? I think I'll stop it right here for a minute. I'll get this thing set on the bench over there, and we'll look at it over there. All right. Give me just a minute. All right. I've got you guys right down on the end of the tape, so hold it good. Make sure you don't move the tape. You got to hold it? All right. So, the crank. From the end of the stub where the balancer to the flange is just about right at 49 inches. So it is 4 feet 1 inch. This crank is. So I think I'm happy about this crank. This crank's good. The pistons I'm a little concerned about. I'm just not real sure how that's going to go. I may try 1 or 2 of them, and we'll see what we get, but I may have to soak them pretty good. But let me get that engine block turned back over, and we'll go from there. All right, I did get one of those out, and I didn't get it off my camera. It actually came out pretty easy. But this is a solid piece of bar that I've got in here on this one. This is a hammer I used over here on that side. Well, I'm going to try the green weenie here. I got this one to move a little bit, so let me see. There went the bearings. Just want to make sure I'm not marring stuff up too bad. Okay. Look down in there. It's gone a little bit. Let me see. Let me try this one over here. So you guys can see me get one of these out. Now that one's pretty high up in the hole. I don't know if I'll be able to get that. Well, I'm gonna bring you guys over here and look, and I'll show you this one piston I got out. Whew. I'm gonna soak these up really good and let them sit. But let me bring you over here so you can look at the cylinder board, and I'll show you the rest of the pistons. I'll show you this piston. And okay, so I showed you guys this once before. And as you can see, some of them are pretty corroded up. that one went a little ways. That went probably about a good ½ inch. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put some evaporust in these holes and see if it'll eat some of that. Now here's the whole one I got out. Look at the size of that bore. That's the one I was working on, and it went just a little bit, but I don't want to mess up them pistons. So I'm gonna let these soak. And this one that's here, actually two, that's here plumb on the top, boy, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about them at all. There's another one. There's another one. But here we go. So this is the piston that I took out, which is just basically an overgrown version of any regular piston. It's good size. You know what? Give me just a minute and I'll get something and we'll measure the bore on this thing. Hang on. Okay. So I've got my cylinder bore gauge here. And what I'm getting straight. Four and a half, 5, 6, 6, not quite 7 thousandths. But that bore's rough. And I put my calipers on the piston here. I'm getting 4.563. So that's it for that. And let me stop right now because I think I'm going to end this one. All right, so I'm going to end this one right here. I'm going to soak the rest of these pistons down, let them sit for a while, and then I'll work on getting them out. I may do a short showing me getting the rest of them out, but I got a piston out so you guys can see it. But this thing is tore down. The pistons are left in there, but as you can see, they need to be soaked really good. I need to soak on them a little bit so I can get these on out of here. So yeah, I'm going to end this one right here. And so I told you all in the beginning of the video I was almost to 1,000 viewers. Well, now that I'm wrapping this video up, the last I looked, I was at 1,049 viewers, or subscribers, I'm sorry. And so, with my next video, we're going to give away a creeper. I got to look in to see how I can get everybody in there and do some kind of dial. I know that there's a way to do that. I think that YouTube has an app for that. But if not, we'll get it figured out. And so on the next video, we're going to give away the creeper. So this is it. The engine's tore down. And for now, I can put this stuff away because I'm looking for a machine shop that's going to be able to help me with the other. The other engine over there, it's been soaking for a while. But we'll get it tore apart sometime later, and that'll actually be our block. But I'm going to be looking for a machine shop to help me with some of this. Now, some of the bad parts, I'm actually wanting to take this engine block that's bad and make a cutaway out of it and kind of get it fixed up and take it to shows so everybody can see what one of these is about. So if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. And I would like to, my deepest appreciation for everybody. I made 1,000 subscribers. Now that's not where I want to stop. I need to keep going. And but I sure do appreciate everybody. Like I said, I've got 1,049 subscribers. So my next video, we're going to go ahead and give away the creeper, and we'll be sending it off to somebody. So if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. And everybody, thank you for watching. 1,049 subscribers.
Well, gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery.
If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have